Oh, what the hell? Oh well, just went live. Sorry about that. I pressed the wrong button. My name is Douglas Jamali, and I am the infamous Doctor Who. Today's subject matter is about the Satan's Minion. Okay? So, I'm going to be covering in this the prophecy. The prophecy of the one, the Satan's Minion. This is the prophecy in the Wars of Antimatter. And the arena of Satan's prophecy is about the one that would come to save us all or destroy us all in the end of the annihilable matter wars of Armageddon, in which they were taking matter of one present and using it of another present, the same matter, and annihilating, in which they were throwing it on each other, called the Satan's minions, in the war thereof of going up the paradox and timelines, grabbing material shit, piss, skin, hair, way up the paradox, and sliding down with that to an arena in which they would throw it on you in the lower timelines and cause the annihilation of both timelines in the antimatter wars. Wow. I guess my voice has a lot of influence. So in the antimatter wars, Satan prophesied during this, which the humans were doing this to each other, it would come down to one. One being where all of the antimatter made from skewed timelines would finally all annihilate. And there would be one being left called the Satan's Minion that would lead his armies to the surface of the world and destroy us all if he did not find his love. And this was prophesied of a man and a woman who were separated by time. Thereof, the cat, a being with the white paws and black snout, or the other way around, white snout and a black cat, in a sense, with white paws and a white snout. I think that's what it is. And in this prophecy, right, they would be united. The world would return to the living. Under that, all of the timelines eventually would converge, and the supreme being would be left there whether or not he found his love. So during the wars of antimatter, right, level 3 emerges out of that. This is where I love this part here, is where God and Satan are speaking to. Douglas said to the Lord, he says, Satan, the only time he will expect help from you, right, is when he's standing there and burning kerosene. Well, there he is, the Lord says, down in the eternal bonfires of hell of antimatter, where the world's on fire at 5,000 degrees centigrade. Stop time environment, which all the fires leave with no heat. Imagine, did you feel that? And the Lord, saying this to Satan, well, there you are. You gonna help him down there? Satan said, well, that's my boy down there. We'll just have to see how he does on his own. And the Lord said, so it's hands off from here on him. Has his free will then thereof. And from here on it's hands off. Yeah. The war of mankind's free will, influence thereof, by just at least you, Satan. Okay? My question is, Lord, Alright. So it's from there, an arena in which Satan would not even tread. I rise out of the bonfires of hell, carving out a garden. That the bottom of the antimatter, nuclear, and biological wars, in which the order of them is, for me, linearly, the biological war came first. The nuclear war came second, and the antimatter wars came third. Interesting, isn't it? But in the order of things in the universe, it started out with the nuclear war, the antimatter war, and then the biological war. But in order of things, for me, it was opposite. Opposite. I start with the biological wars, in which, by the human race, putting on 15 million different cut-in-half viruses upon me, trying to kill me. And the rules of the game, I get half of everything he gets, so they gave me 15 million cut-in-half perfectly viruses, in which after 11 million, my opponent died. It is from in front of Macy's. Well, he had dumped on smallpox on me and several other viruses in the millions, and put an FTL inoculator of the netherworld upon me to turn me into a typhoid Mary, spewing black death and more all over the city with an FTL inoculator to destroy us all. So, with that, I rode up and down the ladder of Mortal Kombat to the very top and bottom right there on the spot in which where the FTL inoculator came out of the netherworld and became sentient, that once part of my medical ship awarded to me for my endeavors in Armageddon, which I never saw. In which he took control of, keys of, and eventually, with all of his use being turned to malware, in his spite, flew my ship into the planet and near light speeds and crashed it in San Mateo. That was 2 million years ago. And now, the ship, my friend Maximilian, in there, with the prime directive of coalescing the ship back into its pieces, sits under 1265 Washington, there with its core of 2 galactic cores, spinning there underneath my house. So these Satansmen, in that there my rise there of coming out of the bonfires of hell, in which God said to Satan, hands off, is where I arise as Rohnin, the last samurai, the last of the warrior class, the Satan's minion. That's what I mean by the disappearance of Satan. We'll just have to see how you do on your own, son. From the eternal bonfires of hell, carving out a garden. So along the way there, and part of that prophecy there, is red matter. The use there of war tools of Armageddon, red matter, came into being somewhere I know not. However, there, in its initiation, a red matter initiation, collapses a planet and the whole system, maybe even more, the whole universe possibly, there, into a whole, a singularity, of which I am reading here within that there, outside of that whole, red matter here underneath my feet, as I am their ambassador. For I have sealed the gap in existence thereof, red matter, in which I once stood in between, in the gap of existence of red matter. So, therein lies the Satan's minion, the last one to be annihilated in the antimatter wars. the Assassin's Guild. And its only member. The last one. So, in annihilable matter, therein lies my girlfriend and I, Jennifer, and me, were used for up to 300 million years of antimatter wars, the fuel source thereof of antimatter ships and more. For the warping of space and all this stuff, when it gets annihilated, only a small portion of it gets annihilated. And the other portion is displaced matter, holding two spaces in space-time in one entity. Matter in two places, called replicated matter, or once one piece of matter. In there lies me and Jennifer. We sit in the convergence of the wars, that under Satan, Michael, and Gabriel, and Lord himself, and I holding the Ark of Covenant and testimony, and Noah. Sit on the rift in between those two duplicated matter, where replicated matter no longer exists and duplicated matter exists in space. And we, her and I, exist as the null set containing doorway to two universes. So in the re-entry of Armageddon, they started to use our annihilable matter, i.e. displaced matter of ours, went down into the cemeteries of Armageddon and started to fuel out there the real antimatter weapons of mass destruction with annihilable matter reactors, sending the whole universe, man, and the rest of the universe back into Armageddon. So it's all started. A baby's arm holding an apple. What do you want from life? Is here with the displacement of time where I was landing galactic cores here in San Francisco in a near-light speed collision right there in front of Starbucks, in which he displaced me over, into which a meteorite tore my arm off of the shoulder and sent it out into space. And for 7 light years, every 30 feet was my arm, replicated in time. Until someone out there in a ship finds one of my arms, right, and brings it in, look, says, there's another one. And the same being that held that first arm goes and picks up the second arm, boom, it goes backwards in time. Some number of light years or less, until it stops. And then, each time they go, watch this. The Lord says, watch this, we're watching you. There, do this. They go in there, pick up another arm, vroom, stops. Right? Vroom, stops, right? And then, my arm's back on my frozen body. Caught there, in space. In the aftermath of my disappearance, the Earth gone. The boys were getting by that alpha mega device. So they found my body and put my body inside there, right? Inside the ship. And he's dead. I'll go there, see what happens. So all of a sudden I thaw out. I walk here and say, what's going on? Magic. I don't know everything after that. Okay, no. Then like, when she found out my arm got torn off, right, she said, you go put his arm back on. And I met her on the stage there as ambassador. She was apologetic and that she tore off my arm. And people do stupid shit when misinformed. She said, listen, I'm sorry. I thought you were black, gay, and liked hippie types. And that's where that story begins and ends, here on the stage of Union Square. My name is Douglas Attila Dwelling. Hope you heard him. I hope it's recorded. You go? 15 minutes.